Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And we just got back from the Speed Force to give you a recap and review of The Flash, Season 3, Episode 16, Into the Speed Force. And you might want to talk to the Speed Force before you watch this episode because we will have spoilers in this video. In the beginning of the episode, there is a weird slow-mo mannequin challenge and Barry monologues to himself. And then he decides that he wants to go back into the Speed Force. HR then introduces an interdimensional tether to hook Barry to the real world and pull him out of the Speed Force in case anything goes wrong. Jessie wants to go with Barry, but Barry tells her to stay home. Then Iris takes off her ring and walks away from Barry, and we find out that Iris has called off the engagement. Cisco introduces Julian to Goldtooth, his multiverse calling and tracking device, and Cisco vibes Barry into the Speed Force. Alright, so let's talk about this decision where Barry's like, I'm not gonna wait for Wally to stay in the Speed Force for a very long time. And also, let's talk about the opening to this episode. Quite different from a normal opening of The Flash. And you were the one that said it while we were watching this, that it basically is a mannequin challenge.
It is. I also want to say that I predicted the whole premise of this episode last week, except I thought it was going to be about Wally and not about Barry, that we would be inside the Speed Force talking to people who had died. This is like my very first prediction that ever came true, so I'm really proud of myself.
What did you think about, let's talk about Iris giving up the engagement. Is that a fair move on Iris's part?
I think that is more than a fair move on Iris's part. I don't think it's going to last.
I don't think so either.
But I like that she doesn't just forgive him. There are consequences to his actions, even if he can just reset the Speed Force and make everyone do mannequin challenge again.
He can.
Yeah, he totally can.
In the Speed Force, Barry appears inside his police lab, but it's dark and scary with lights of lightning bolts. And inside there, he sees Eddie Thawne. Then Eddie explains that Wally is in the prison that Barry's future self created for Savitar. And the Speed Force says that Barry lied about coming to terms with his mother's death, and they are not letting Wally go. All right, let's talk about this. This is something that you and I brought up when we did our reviews for The Flash last season, and we talked about that Barry's turn at the end of Season 2, suddenly going back and creating Flashpoint, seemed very out of character for Barry because we thought that he had settled all his mother issues in Season 1. And again, we had that episode last year, The Runaway Dinosaur, where we learned that he had to read a book with his mom in the Speed Force, and that again was the second time we let go of his mommy feelings. And the Speed Force is just as irritated as we are. I appreciate the Speed Force being on our side.
Yeah, totally. I just think it's a bad device.
Why?
Because I think it's something, again, like you said, that we've addressed so many times that making Barry keep coming back to it makes him seem like an obsessive, not well-adjusted character, and I go to Batman stories for that. I don't go to Flash stories for that. It also seems like we spent, time passes differently when you're watching a show than when you're reading a comic, and it seems like we spent 3 years with this guy, and he hasn't learned a damn thing, and maybe that's why he keeps resetting, the timeline. I don't know. And the fact that Eddie Thawne is the one who's personifying this, so I guess he's still hung up on Eddie as much as he's hung up on his mom.
The man who died to kill the man who killed Barry's mother.
The man who kind of would have stolen Barry's life because he was engaged to Iris. Joe liked him, and I know that Rick Cosnett tweeted like a month ago that he was coming back to Flash and everyone was really exciting. I think this could have been delivered by anybody other than Eddie and it might have been a better choice.
But no. I disagree with that because I think the advantage the Flash has, the advantage that all these CW shows have, is that it's nice to get these moments from these characters because all of these shows have a tendency to kill off somebody every season.
That's true.
And Eddie, for all his faults, is this show's Tommy Merlin.
Look, Tommy Merlin could show up more on Arrow than
He's busy on Chicago Med.
I know that. I just think that there are better characters than Eddie Thawne, and I'm
happy he showed up.
I'm not wishing Rick Cosnett any less work. I don't think there's anything like super wrong with it, but the original Harrison Wells, I think, would have been more impactful in this scene.
The problem, I completely disagree with that for the fact that we started this scene in Star Labs with another Harrison Wells.
I know.
So it's not like we're missing Harrison Wells.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Especially last episode when we had two of them.
I knew you were gonna say that.
So Eddie Thawne, a guy who we haven't seen since another guest appearance in Season 2.
I understand the choice. Yeah. I just think there might have been a better choice.
I think Eddie Thawne was a fine choice.
Okay.
Back in Star Lab, HR talks more and more about coffee. I mean, honestly, he's obsessed with it. And then Jessie asks Cisco if he can track Savitar with a piece from his body. And Cisco refuses while HR listens in the background. Joe and Iris look at the article in the future room, and Julie Greer, who now holds the byline, is an actual DC Comics character. Fun fact. Back in the Speed Force, Eddie scolds Barry Allen and asks, is there no other reason that you are in the Speed Force? And he says that he can save Wally if Barry goes to the elevator, but then a time wraith shows up and chases him, and Barry is barely able to make it inside the elevator. Okay, first I want to talk about Joe West and Iris in the future room. I always like it when characters enter the future room because the future room was such a set piece from season 1.
It was a really important device.
And not many characters have been inside it.
It is the My Dad's Notebook of this season.
Oh, you mean My Dad's Notebook from Arrow?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, of this show. Like that's we revisit it when it's convenient, and it was really important in season 1.
Yes. Yeah. And by now, I think most characters have been inside the future room.
Yes.
But anytime I see a character in that, I like that moment. I loved it when we had Arrow in it during the Invasion crossover as well.
Oh, yeah.
I like this idea of the Speed Force being like, yo, Barry, you can't lie to us. We can see, we can feel you, we can sense you.
We are one with you.
Yeah, we know something else is up.
Yeah.
Like, you're not actually here just for Wally. Like, there's something else going on. And to be honest with you, I like the idea of the time wraiths. And as soon as the time wraith showed up, I was like, oh, we're gonna see like a who's who of all the Flash villains now, of all the speedsters now, which I don't mind. I kind of dig it.
I actually thought the Time Wraith was going to turn out to be the Time Remnant that Barry heartlessly murdered in that season finale.
And he himself that ran in the
and he was going to have to like face himself in like a
Ooh.
literal representation of like his mommy issues, or I guess his Iris issues as they are now.
Yeah. In the next level of the Speed Force, Barry sees Caitlin with the baby, and then Ronnie as Firestorm appears. Back at Star Lab, HR reveals that on his Earth, Charlie Brown can't play the piano, and that's the whole gag of Peanuts. And then the whole gang thinks that the shard can lead them to Savitar, and HR says they'll find Savitar when the real Flash gets back. And Jessie Quick storms off and tells HR to stop being her father. Okay.
I don't want to talk about anything except the Peanuts joke.
Oh, I love the Peanuts thing.
It was so good.
I thought it was so awesome. Sometimes the Earth 19 stuff is too far, but I loved it. To be honest with you, I felt that HR was justified by saying the real Flash, because let me put it this way. I get Jessie Quick's zeal. Her boyfriend has been stolen. You would want to do anything. Anybody would want to. You'd be like, I want to.
If you were still in the Speed Force, I would come after you.
Everybody would want to. You would want to go get your loved one, whatever. Okay. But HR has a point. We have shown that Savitar can basically beat every speedster, including Barry Allen.
Including Wally, as his evidence for this entire episode.
Jessie Quick has been Flash on her Earth for 7 months now?
I don't know, ish, yeah.
7, 8.
As long as Barry and Iris have been going out.
7 or 8 months. Okay, yeah. 7 or 8 months. Barry has been Flash for 3 years. I'm on HR side with this. It was a little dickish to say it, but HR is kind of a nincompoop.
I will say, I don't think you're wrong.
Okay.
Devil's advocate, I liked that scene for Jessie. I like having Jessie be a little more active, especially after Barry was like, you can't sit with me at my cool kids table in the Speed Force, and she just accepted it.
Well, I'm going to give you the subtext for that. We can't afford you in the budget.
Right, I know that.
So stay at home.
I know that. I like seeing her like step up and be more of a leader and more active. And then, you made the point about 3 years versus 7 months. Well, by the time Barry got out of the coma, 7 months later, he was the Flash. Like, nobody was telling him you've only been the Flash for 7 months. Sit down, you're not a real hero. I understand what you're saying. Yes, in the continuum of how long there have been speedsters. But there you go. Whatever. I think it was a great scene for both sides of the argument.
Sure, it's great. Back in the Speed Force, it is revealed to be Caitlin and Ronnie's baby, and all the people that just died and their sacrifices were for Barry, just like Wally. And we find out that Barry wants to take Wally's place. And then Hunter Zolomon appears and fights Barry, the Black Flash. They race and they fight, while Ronnie says, we warned you, and there's only one way to free Wally. You have to free yourself first. We then see Barry turning into the Black Flash, and Barry tears off his location finder, also his symbol on his chest, and Vibe can't find him in the Speed Force. I am just going to say, anytime the Black Flash can show up, yes. And I like the moment where Barry was turning into the Black Flash, because that is very similar to the Flash Rebirth, where Barry Allen became the Black Flash. I liked this stuff. I like the idea. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of Robbie Amell as Firestorm. I think the actor who plays Jax is a better Firestorm.
Yeah, anytime we have to return to like original recipe Firestorm, I'm not super on board with it.
But again, I liked it because I like this being a who's who of the Flash. My only regret at this point is that we didn't get to see Tom Cavanaugh as Eobard Thawne. That was, I felt like, the one cameo where you're missing, or even Matt Lesher.
Matt Lesher I would have liked to see.
In this, I mean, he's literally in the next building over filming Legends.
Yeah.
Just pull him in and just be like, can you say one line?
My only regret is how uncomfortable Danielle Panabaker looked holding her supposed child. She did not want to hold that baby.
Is Caitlin Snow afraid of a baby?
It's really funny.
Okay.
I don't know if it's her or the actress, but I think too it was because she was not in the scene. She was just there, and they were speaking. But she just looked like
around her, yeah.
She didn't want to hold the poor baby.
I mean, I wouldn't want to hold the fake rubber baby either. They're creepy.
Baby.
Barry wakes up in the hospital and sees Wally, and then Captain Cold attacks. HR stops Jessie from fighting Savitar, and then Jessie knocks him unconscious. Back in the Speed Force, Captain Cold reveals that Wally is trapped in an endless loop, reliving the single most horrible moment of his life, his mother's death, just like Savitar had to relive his hell. Captain Cold reveals that Flash was the reason why Leonard Snart sacrificed himself in Legends Season 1, and Cold freezes him. Then Jay Garrick, John Wesley Shipp, shows up to pull Barry out of the Speed Force. Again! We come to another moment where this episode, and I was like, Jay Garrick, oh, you crafty son of a bitch. I love it when you show up.
John Wesley Shipp is a good Jay Garrick.
Oh, my God.
He's really good. He's much better as Jay than he was as Mr. Barry Allen's dad.
Yes.
And again, it's just...
Henry Allen.
Henry Allen. He has more to do. It's better writing. But he really shines in these
I
scenes.
even like Captain Cold showing up. And
I'm always on board for Captain Cold.
And when you can tie in the Legends, I like that as well. I like that little explanation. Nice little character beat. And to be honest with you, the reveal of Wally... that his moment of hell is mom's death, and that's what this is. That's what this prison is, an infinite time loop of your worst moment. I think that's a very creative idea.
I do too, and also Keenan Lonsdale, great crier.
Really good, great cry.
Good cry for a long. He's like
especially on repeat.
Matthew Fox level. Good crying there.
Yeah, I mean, again, you bring Jay Garrick into the table. I love it.
Yeah.
Jessie then chases the Savitar shard all over the city and then stands in front of Savitar. They fight, and Savitar absorbs the lightning that Jessie throws. Then Savitar pulls the shard back to him, and Jessie stabs him with the shard. Barry then finds out that Jay Garrick is actually real, and Jay Garrick reveals that Vibe came and got him from Earth 3. They fight Cold, and Barry deflects the ice with Jay's helmet. Barry talks to Wally and pulls them away from the room, and then Jay reveals that he is going to stay for Wally's place to pay back Barry for freeing him from the prison cell in Season 2 of Zooms. Garrick then tells Barry to just go and be the Flash. Okay. I'm really sad that Jay Garrick is now stuck in the Speed Force.
I am too, but I want to talk about something cool.
Sure.
I know it's really cheesy, but Barry using the helmet to deflect the ice beam was like such comic book nonsense goodness. I loved it so much.
I really loved it. I loved it a lot. And you know what? Again, calling back to the Flash's greatest hits, I like that Jay Garrick, I love that the writers gave us a really good reason for why Jay Garrick is staying here. It's paying him back because, so much stuff happens in The Flash moves speedily with its plot that sometimes we forget. And you do, I had sort of forgotten that. I was like, oh yeah, Jay Garrick did sit in Zoom's cell for like years.
Yes, he did.
And Barry Allen rescued him. So yeah, Jay Garrick does kind of owe Barry Allen. So I appreciate that. And now it gives us an emphasis, a thrust to go back to the Speed Force to save Jay. I hope that happens very soon. And then let's talk a little bit about Jessie stabbing Savitar, which was cool.
Yeah, I was just to put a button on the Jay Garrick thing. It's a nice restoration of that legacy because we saw Jay Garrick being a bad guy for so long, and the symbol of having the helmet around used to be a bad thing.
Well, and also him with the and as we'll talk about later in the episode, we'll see the helmet restored to its proper place of honor,
which is nice.
And Jay Garrick becoming the best of us is a nice moment. And to be honest with you, making John Wesley Shipp play the greatest Flash is cool. Is perfect for a DC fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the other side, we get the mirror plot of Jessie Quick really coming into her own. Like, I love that she gets the better of Savitar. It's a little like...
With HR's help.
I love them together. I think their relationship is really unique. But, it's a little like Robin Hood... the sun will come out tomorrow thing that, like, find the weakness in the armor. Like, it's such a cliche.
I know.
But the armor looks so cool that I don't even care. And you know that that's going to be something that's going to pay off when they finally defeat Savitar and reveal his identity.
That's right. Wally and Barry get out of the Speed Force, and then they put Jay's helmet on display, and Barry reveals that Barry has to stop Savitar alone. And Kid Flash has to take a break because of all the suffering. Jessie reveals that she's leaving Earth 1 to go to Earth 3 to protect that Earth, and Jessie doesn't want Savitar's plans to happen to her, so she's going to protect that Earth for Jay. HR and Jessie have a final goodbye, saying we Wells are a force to be reckoned with, and HR reveals to the team that Savitar is just a man underneath the armor. Barry and Iris talk, and Iris says that she wants to be Barry's wife. Then Barry says, we need some space, and I'm gonna go stay with Cisco. All right, Barry gets his lady back, and then he's like, oh, no, this is too soon for me. I need some space.
This is like some Supergirl relationship level nonsense going on right here. This is like...
drama for drama's sake.
Yeah, this is like when Alex was like, no, I can't be your girlfriend, Maggie, but that's like nothing more than I want. Like, Barry gets what he wants. Iris agrees to do the thing, and then he's like, I'm gonna go live in Cisco's dirty apartment again. It's silly. It's putting off the inevitable for the end of the season for the big reunion. Didn't like that beat.
Well, I was gonna say there's also a beat too that I like it, and also I dislike that Jessie Quick is leaving for Earth 3. I like it.
I'm of two minds.
I like it for the thing because she is the Flash of Earth 2, classically Jay Garrick's Earth. So she's like, I'm gonna go protect his Earth, but at the same time, again, it reads so much like this actress is not staying around, so we have to have a reason that explains why she can't be at the Savitar fight.
It's the same thing with Wally.
Yep.
I think Wally has a better reason of like, I just went through some stuff. I'm gonna go over here and think about it for a minute.
Let's think this through logically. Sorry to interrupt there.
That's fine.
Wally, I think, has a very logical story reason. He's probably suffering from some PTSD. If you were in hell for, I would say, at least a day, he was probably there for a day. But in his mind, it seemed like infinite.
Yeah.
I also don't buy the choice that, okay.
It just screams that there's a bottle episode coming up and we're only going to have one Flash in it.
Well, yeah, and also I was going to say that Jessie got her love back from the Speed Force, and immediately she gets her love back, and she's like, I'm going to another Earth, bye!
They keep doing that with Jessie and Wally. Like, they put them together and things are good, and then they rip them apart for no good reason. Like, only if Barry and Iris aren't happy, no one gets to be happy.
Yeah, it's weird,
like,
right?
how come we haven't seen more about Joe and Cecile? They just go on dates like every once in a while.
Yep.
It's so strange.
Yep, there you go. All right, so now let's talk about the rating of this episode of The Flash based on a scale of 1 to 5 lightning bolts, 5 being the best. Ashley, what would you give Into the Speed Force?
This is the first Speed Force episode I've ever liked, so I'm going to give it 4.
Is it the first Speed Force one?
4.
I'm on the middle of this episode. I do think they had some really great moments, but also, like, I felt the ending was kind of clunky and kind of destroyed some of the goodwill, the moments of Jay Garrick and Captain Cold and Eddie Thawne that I thought were really good. I'm going to give this a 3. It's a good episode, but it's nowhere near terrible. And my bigger problems with it my biggest problems with this episode are after the climax. Again, like
I would agree.
Sending Jessie away and then Barry and Iris just being like, well, we ain't gonna be together because of drama.
They haven't even been together for like a year, so for soulmates, it's one of the shortest relationships ever.
Yeah. All right, so let's move into predictions for The Flash. Ashley, based on this episode of The Flash, what do you think is going to happen in the future?
I think that we are not going to see Wally want to return to Kid Flash, return to being a hero. I think he's going to be done in his esteem.
For the entire season?
I think the way they trick him into coming back is that we vibe Jessie back over in the final episode and she convinces Wally to put the suit on again. And that's how I think they're both going to be in the finale because every damn character in the show is going to be in the Savitar Park scene.
Yes, I agree.
Eventually. Maybe they're hiding behind a tree, but they're all going to be there, and I think Jessie and Wally are going to be the reason to reunite those characters.
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you think is coming down the pipe?
I think this episode revealed how we kill Savitar.
Through a chink in his armor?
Through a chink in his armor, but also... remember we had an episode of Legends earlier in this season where a certain speedster was constantly running from the Black Flash.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who could find him all throughout the universe. This is Barry Allen's first face-to-face meeting with the Black Flash, who he knew as Hunter Zolomon. So he now knows the Black Flash exists. I think this show is going to steal some moments from Final Crisis. In Final Crisis, Barry Allen and Wally Wells kill Darkseid because they make the Black Racer, the embodiment of death, chase them, and then they run around Darkseid and the Black Racer kills Darkseid. I think Wally West is going to return to the Speed Force, and with Jay Garrick's help, maybe he's going to make Jay Garrick escape somehow. Again, like this is me just brainstorming, so I don't know if it's gonna be exactly right. I think he might break Jay Garrick out of the Speed Force, causing the Black Flash to chase them because there's not a person there, and I think they will lead the Black Flash to Savitar, the rightful person who should exist in that cell, and the Black Flash kill Savitar.
That's cool. I would love to see that.
I think that's what this episode showed us. I think this is the episode where Barry will get the genesis that, if I can't stop Savitar, the Black Flash can.
Yeah, that's cool.
Head on down to the comments and click subscribe, and then let us know which one you think is right. Am I right or is she right?
And why not click on one of the videos of the screen? They're full of geeky stuff that we know you're going to love. And head on over to patreon.com/Jawiin for more exclusive geeky video content that's going to help us make more videos for you.
We'll see you next week, friends. Stay ahead of the Black Flash, or else he'll catch you.